Good morning. Welcome to the Logos Center and welcome to our home here in Fountain Hills. I want to talk with you this morning about life in the times of COVID, and Anne's going to talk with you about, alas, life after death and communication with those in the spirit plane, near-death experiences. I've just finished writing a book that's really a culmination of my life's work. This Psychology of the Soul is based on the Edgar Cayce readings and a profound search of them about meditation. It's based on the Edgar Cayce Home Library series. There are 2 volumes out, Meditation Part 1 and 2, that I've made a special study of because this book is primarily about meditation. Based on the research in parapsychology, based on the Bible, and especially on the Cayce readings on the challenging times that we face. The readings actually say that we will be having a revolution in this country that will be brother against brother, and we may in fact be approaching that time. Carl Jung, the Jungians are maintaining that we are approaching what they claim in a title of a book, Archetype of the Apocalypse. The Jungians feel that we are approaching apocalyptic times. So the way we understand that is the ecology, the rich getting richer, the poor getting poorer, fires, floods, earthquakes, disease. But this book will help you understand who you are and what you can do in these times, and help you understand some of the opportunities of leadership that we have in these times. So I'm addressing first the worldview and demonstrating why I feel that the Christian theology of a worldview of creation out of nothing is faulty, and suggesting a worldview that I think is more in accord with the teaching of Jesus. So we address the problem of the oneness of all force and the way in which we are participants in that. In fact, I maintain that of the 4 standard criteria of Christianity, none of them are biblical. The creation out of nothing premise of Christianity is found nowhere in the Bible. The idea that God is 3 persons, really, He's not a person at all. We can have a personal relationship with God. And when I call Him, I'm saying this is characterized as not gender, but the nature of my relationship with Father. As I would say of someone, this is my brother, and it doesn't imply any DNA relationship. Then I address the biblical problem of the symbolism of the Bible, and suggest that we can understand the Bible as archetypal. And there's a whole chapter on why the Bible itself, how it explains archetypes. And then I spend a lot of time on the healing group readings, which are based on the endocrine gland studies coming out of the Cayce material, and especially the origin of evil. And I call this chapter Ontogeny and the Origins of Evil, because this is a story actually that I've read in this book 5 times cover to cover, and it's the first time I really got a sense of that I could address this question of the origin of evil and how it relates to us as souls, children of the Most High. And after I developed this from the basis of the Cayce readings and the Jungian approach, I address the secret of the golden flower, which I've been studying since 1969 and 70. And Carl Jung challenges, he says, this difference between Christian theology and Taoist and the secret of the golden flower, an abyss that he says cannot be easily bridged. And so I'm challenging this to show that The Secret of the Golden Flower and what the Edgar Casey readings say about our origins and the way in which we're made up to be able to communicate with God and communicate parapsychologically. And finally, some ideas about other religions and fairy tales that are archetypal. Joetta Watson, who's been recording and transcribing these readings for decades, so she'll be the person most familiar with my work, says, if anyone tells you I've heard it all because I've heard all of your lectures, she says it's not so, because this book really has some things new in it. So I really want to encourage you to get your copy of A Psychology of the Soul. Read it cover to cover, because the latter part depends heavily on clarity about the earlier part. And I want to let Anne talk with you about life after death.
Well, this is such a difficult time we're all going through with the pandemic, and I think that when it first started, I thought it was going to be over any time, and maybe didn't take it quite as seriously as it was, because we were hearing from sources that it wasn't a big deal and it was going to be over and quickly, and of course it's not. So that's been a difficult thing. Pardon me, I can't stop my nose from itching today. I have read a lot of books, especially during this time, on life after death and people's experiences, and also a series of books by many different authors, maybe 10 or 12 of them, about near-death experiences. And I think that when we hear these stories of near-death experiences, it gives us more of a sense of what to expect when we transition. But the interesting thing also is that almost everybody's experience is slightly different from everyone else's, although there are some standard things that you see in a lot of the near-death experiences, such as going through the tunnel, seeing loved ones and friends that died many years before, things of that kind. But in these books that have been written on the near-death experiences, some people have actually experienced turning into just beings of light on the other side, and communicating with each other that way. And that reminded me that when I was about 6 years old, I had tonsillectomy, and was, I think they gave you ether at that time. And I had this experience with these beings of light, and they were pinging. They made this ping sound as they communicated with each other. And I felt very out of things because I didn't understand what their pings meant and their language meant, but they were communicating freely with these ping sounds and these light things. So this book that the woman had the experience of being a light being and how they communicated with each other was very similar to what many people have experienced when they've had their near-death experiences. So I really wanted to read everything that I could, and what I came to the realization of, and I read this, so this wasn't just my own thought. I came to the awareness that all these experiences are so different, and that's probably what happens to us on the other side, that depending upon choices we've made and what we've done with our life, and even some of our education and people we've interacted with, have a lot to do with what we experience, what we believe. So if we have a lot of fear and think we're going to run into demons and all kinds of stuff like that, we may, by our thought processes, create a less than ideal experience when dying, because we have these fears. But if I call it a gentle death, learning how to have a gentle death. But then Herb and I started talking about having a happy death. And we were talking about this one night, and we started singing Happy Days Are Here Again, the song, only we were singing Happy Deaths Are Here Again. And while there's a kind of funny aspect to that, there also is a lot of truth to that. If we prepare while we're still alive to have a happy, gentle death, we will have so much better afterlife experience, and if we go into it frightened. So if we can read everything that we can, if we can meditate and pray, because when we meditate, in a way we're experiencing slightly what it's like when we die, because we're in an altered state of consciousness and awareness. I mentioned before that at night I have these meetings most evenings with Jesus, and I talk with him, and we share these things, and I go into a healing garden with him and ask for healing for myself and our family and other things. And it is true that there is answer to prayer. There's no doubt. You know, we have a granddaughter that lives in Colorado on the top of a mountain in Boulder, and she sent us a picture of the fire, and it was overwhelming. It was just frightening as could be. The sky was red. It was coming up the mountain behind them, and they were right in the line of fire, and they didn't catch on fire. It didn't come any further up. The fire stopped before it got to their home and everything, and we really feel that was...
We got a bunch of people praying.
We did. We had Lois Benares in Globe. We spent the weekend up there with them, with Bill Roberts and Debbie, our daughter, and got to talk to them about all these things. So we had a really nice experience with her, because we could talk about everything, and talked about life after death and all kinds of things.
Got her church praying for her.
Have her entire church praying for us, have the whole Logos community praying for us.
And it's working.
Yeah, and you know, we sent out notices to all of you through Facebook and our website and every way we knew how to notify you. We do know that a number of our personal letters to each of you did not go through. So we apologize for that. So do contact us, call us if you haven't heard from us. I think we got hold of all of you by now, but maybe not. But we wanted to really, at this time where people are fearful, and I noticed with myself getting fearful, I don't like that. Do you? Have you been fearful at all?
I haven't. The studies that I've been doing and working on this have given me a sense, and this is why the authors, especially the Jungian authors say it'll be much easier to go through if we understand what's happening.
Yes.
And what's happening is, the Revelation says, be not afraid of any of the things you're going to experience. But there's the destruction of Babylon, which is the lower self, and the establishment of Jerusalem, the higher self, which the Jungians call the coming of the self. And I'm calling it the coming of the soul, that we're moving into an area, and that means the change of a lot of things. I just imagine the dramatic changes that are needed in Christian theology, not to say psychology and politics and so on. But the understanding of what's happening to us will keep us from being so fearful. Well, we want to invite you to check our website, and you can order this book on the Logos Center website.
It really is helpful and very good. I mean, it's hard to brag about a book that your husband has written, but it's really very good, and he has gotten a little feedback on it. It just went out, so he hasn't had a chance to get much feedback, but the feedback he's gotten has been really good, and I've read it twice so far, starting the third time, and I found it very helpful and understanding.
And check the website also for whether we're having a meeting first Sunday of December. We'd like to have a Christmas celebration with you. We anticipate that we won't have the 8:30 group meeting, but meet simply at 10:30. So be sure to check the website to see if we work that out.
And we're trying to figure that out. It's difficult because, you know, we like to hug, we like to sing, and that's a big part of the whole service.
Well, the main thing is if we can drink coffee, and that's we can spread out like that. I'm going to ask Anne to lead us in a prayer. Be sure to keep in touch with us and read this book cover to cover, and keep praying for us. We thank you.
Thank you. Let's pray together. God, we thank you for our lives, and we know that while this is a very difficult time, that you have brought us through many difficult times throughout the years. And we ask for a special blessing for all of our friends and loved ones and for every person on this planet to be especially blessed and helped and healed during this time. We know that we may not understand what the future holds, but we know that you hold the future, God. And let us remember always to go to you and listen for your guidance so that we might make decisions that are for the highest good for ourselves and for our families and all the people we're involved with. We thank you for the joy of music. We thank you for the ministry that we've received from so many people throughout the years. We thank you for each member of the Logos community and the gifts that they have brought to this work. And we ask for a special blessing upon each one, that they might be filled with peace and joy and hope. And this is our prayer in the name of Christ. Amen.
Thank you. Be sure now to listen to Bob and Mari, Try a Little Kindness.
Try a little kindness.
The
yeah.
key to all of our relationships. Try a little kindness.
I'd like to see the world for once standing hand in hand and hear them echo through the hills for peace throughout the land.
If you see your brother standing by the road with a heavy load from seeds he sowed,
If you see your sister falling by the way, just stop and say, you're going the wrong way.
you've got to try a little kindness, show a little kindness, just shine a light for everyone to see. And if you try a little kindness, then you'll overlook the blindness of narrow-minded people on the narrow-minded street. Don't walk around the down and out, lend a helping hand instead of doubt.
And the kindness that you show every day will help someone along the way.
You've got to try a little kindness, show a little kindness, just shine a light for everyone to see. And if you try a little kindness, then you'll overlook the blindness of narrow-minded people on the narrow-minded street. Narrow-minded people on the